So we've done a tomato soup, and let me just put this here. Yeah, you don't have to explain. You just go and do what you need to do. We're working in a health and safety environment. Right. So remember that mise en place means that before you start a soup or a stock or any cooking at all, you get all your ingredients and all your equipment round where you're going to work, so you're not running back and forward, yeah? So my mise en place at this moment in time, I've got my stock, and I've got my butter, and I've got my flour, right? Because we're doing a roux-based sauce. Now, if it was a white sauce, it would be a bechamel, which is flour, butter, milk. Because I'm using a veloute, it's a blonde roux. It's not really blonde, right? It's same flour and butter, but I'm going to be using stock. With the tomato, it is a derivative of a kind of Espanol, because it's a dark roux type thing, yeah. But it's Espanol is not really used anymore, right? It's been substituted with powdered stuff, demi-glace, right? That is another story. But so really and truly, you're most probably only going to get familiar with two types of roux, the blonde roux and the white roux, right? When we did our tomato sauce soup, even, we sweated the vegetables in the butter. Then we add the flour, then we add the stock, until we get the right consistency. Yeah. With a veloute, just like a bechamel sauce, right, you add the flour to the melted butter. So, I've got my butter. You know what? I'm thinking to myself, 50 grams, 25 grams from there, because I'm thinking it's 25 grams more butter for me, please, and 25 grams more flour for me, please, because I'm thinking it's going to come out too watery, but I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, then stick with the 25-25. If I'm right, well, what can I say? Right. In the meantime, I'm going to strain my stock. Yeah. Once again, it's all about mise en place. It's all about, I'm going to make the sauce. I've got to make sure everything is done before I even proceed. So my stock is over here, my chicken stock. What I'm going to do is strain it in my, is it conical or chinois? Conical. Actually, I can use a chinois for this because it's so thin, but I won't. And if you have to keep on getting up to check your tomato soup, it makes me think, how high is it? It's supposed to be simmering and ticking over.
Do you want an extra 25 of the flour, did you say, Chef?
Yep, because it's supposed to be equal amounts of both, isn't it? Alright. There is my stock. Alright, so, right, got my butter, and let that melt. For this one here, I'm not going to add any oil to it like I did yesterday. Alright, I just want to melt it really quickly. And then I'm going to start to what am I supposed to do? I'm going to start to add the flour to it. Once I add the flour to it, the butter's going to soak up the fat. and I'm going to add the stock slowly. Right. Now the good thing is I've got loads of stock. So if I have got too much flour or roux, all I'm going to do is just continue adding the stock until I get this consistency that I want. Right. Right, so I can add my flour, and that's going to soak up all the butter. This is traditional, right? But you don't have to use butter. If you're making a roux, you can use oil and flour, right? This is a this is going to be a chicken soup, so it's not going to really matter because it's animal orientated. If it was like, say, I don't know, carrot soup, and you work it, and you catering for a vegan, you can use oil and flour. Yeah.
It's a religious thing as well.
Judaism.
Milk and meat with Judaism as well. So if you have a roux, then it needs to be oil. If you
I didn't have it. Okay. Well, there you go. It's also religious orientated. Now, I put my stock in there. Start to whisk it. And you'll see in a minute why it's called a blonde roux. Right? Because when I'm using the whisk, it helps to knock out the lumps. You can see why it's called a blonde roux. Yeah? Like that. Yeah? If it was same roux and everything else, if it was milk, it would go white. But the roux is the same colour. And this one's the veloute. Right? So, yeah? And it's nice and smooth. Right? That's what the whisk does. It knocks out the lumps. Alright? And if I've gauged it correctly,
so this is chicken soup.
if I've gauged it correctly, it will have a nice consistency. Right? So I've got 50 grams of butter, 50 grams of flour, 1 litre stock. I want it to be a little bit thicker than the soup that I made yesterday. It's starting to look a little bit like mine's chicken soup. It hasn't got any seasoning there at the moment.
You said you had that last, right?
Yes. Right. Reason being, when it starts to reduce, the flavours reduce with it, and it concentrates. So you don't put no salt and pepper into the last part of it, as otherwise you can get too salty. Right. A good soup comes from a good stock. So if the chicken stock is good, your soup's going to be good. Because the flavour is not coming from the flour and the butter. It's coming from the stock. So I'm going to turn up a little bit, let it come to the boil. And it looks as if I was correct. Right? So for the chicken soup, you might want to up the flour and the butter. Right? But don't do this yet, just let me finish first. I'm quite pleased with this at the moment.
Can we please see the consistency?
I'm going to bring it to the table. Right? But whilst I'm still cooking it, it has to have a heat underneath it.
Yeah.
I should plug that one in, but you know what I'm saying?
So you're going to stick to 50-50?
I think, tell me what you think when you see my fantastic soup. Because I can do no wrong. Yeah? Heinz and Bachelors couldn't do any better, and I shouldn't be mentioning any brand names, whilst on the video. But you didn't hear that video. Yeah, I am very pleased with this soup. We're going to bring it to the boil for the last time. Get all the flour picked out so you don't taste that floury taste. The consistency is fantastic. Right, if it was a sauce, it would have been 100 grams butter, 100 grams flour, 1 litre stock. Yeah, but it's a soup. A soup, really. A soup is supposed to. Now, this looks good, but it's going to taste terrible because it hasn't got no seasoning in it yet. So, it hasn't quite finished just yet. But just to show you the consistency, it should be able to coat the back of the spoon like that. Yeah, that's a good consistency. Yeah, right. So, what we'll do. So now I'm going to complete the chicken soup. I've got the chicken stock, so I'm going to season it, and then I'm going to add some chicken to it. Yeah. So where's the chicken going to come from? It's going to come from the bones that I originally put into the chicken stock. Yeah. So what I would do, I've got a yellow chopping board here. Go for cooked meat. Just take a little bit of the chicken. Yeah, just pick it away. Get rid of the. We don't want any bones on there. Doesn't have to be loads and loads, but it will add a little bit of je ne sais quoi to the soup. Yeah, a little bit of all of that. So, and as you can see, it's one way. Because what yesterday we chopped the chicken up, yeah. That part of the chicken is going to be for sauté, chicken chasseur or whatever the case may be. Just careful of any chicken bones. Just really be careful. You only want a little bit in there. Right, just making sure that I've got no chicken bones in there. And I can add that to my soup. What would be great is if I had some chopped parsley, but I forgot to order it. So what can I say? Another time. Right, so I'm going to quickly heat it up again.
It's some in the fridge. The fresh parsley in the fridge.
It's in the fridge.
There's fresh parsley in the fridge.
Okay, well, give me a chopping knife. And a green board. Chopping knife and a green board. The silver knife. I don't know where the silver knife is. It might be here.
Oh, and there's something left.
Right, I need a green board. Shut the door. Right. This will be lovely. This will be excellent. Right, everybody come here. Right, could you come here? If you have walked away to check your sauce, you have got no control over your temperature. Because you are supposed to leave it and be confident that it's ticking over. So if you keep walking away, that means you've got no control over the temperature. Simple as. Right, so let's chop some parsley really quickly. What chopping board am I using? Why? Huh?
It's vegetarian.
Herbs. Right, this is the only time you'd use the green chopping board for herbs. You don't use the brown one. If you chop in any herbs, chop it on the green chopping board. You can use the brown chopping board. But the brown chopping board is normally for hard vegetables. Potatoes, swede, carrots, yeah? This is for soft fruit and fruit vegetables and things like herbs. Right? However, if you do use a brown chopping board, I wouldn't penalise you for it. Right, a bit of chopped parsley, just to add a little bit of je ne sais quoi. Right. So there. A little bit of cream in there. But before I do that, I'm going to add a little bit of seasoning. Hopefully, and I said hopefully, if the stock is good, the soup will be good. When you're normally using a white stock, you use white pepper. So I'll put a little bit of black pepper in there, a little bit.
Would that be for colour?
No, a little bit of, just a little bit of flavour. But white pepper's milder, so it doesn't overpower the sauce or the soup. Just a little bit of that in there. If I put too much black pepper in there, that's what you're going to taste. It's going to ruin the experience. A little bit of cream, not too much. I've got a ladle somewhere. Alright. So when you next time buy your tin soup, right, you know how it's made. Ooh la la, right? Yeah, this is how it's expected. Well, this is better because we don't know how that's made. We don't know what goes in it, but we know this is all natural stuff. Yeah. A little bit of salt. Not too much, right? You can always add a little bit more because remember this is stock. It hasn't got no salt in it at all. So if it's a little bit fresh, you can always add a little bit more salt in there. No problem. Right? Just add your soup bowl. Try and get some of the chicken pieces in there. As you see, not too much chicken pieces in there, yeah? Just enough to garnish it. So that you can taste a little bit when you're drinking it. You see the texture? You see how it coats back on the spoon? It's still fairly runny. If it was a sauce, it'd be much thicker than that. Yeah? And there you go. And all I've got to do is taste it and let you know all about it. Alright? Well, all my hard work. A little bit more salt, but other than that, ooh la la. Okay. Have a taste, guys. Have a taste.